Hi, Nikki.
Hey, Rob. I love hearing that music.
It's catchy, isn't it?
It is.
We love our theme song.
It's
So,
fantastic.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm actually coming to you from sunny North Carolina.
Nice.
Yeah, we are at my in-laws' vacation home, so we're excited to be here.
Very nice. Where in North Carolina?
We're like 30 minutes outside of Asheville. We're in a little town called Old Fort. Don't know if anybody's ever heard of it, but it has a lot of trailheads right around here. So there's a lot of mountain bikers that come to town. The town is very, very small. I use town very loosely. But during the pandemic, they built 2 breweries. So now we're like really in business.
They built 2 breweries during the pandemic.
The one
Because when there's a pandemic, you need extra beer. I mean, that makes complete sense.
Exactly. Yeah, they built one. One is from Asheville that they built, and it's like just across the street from the house. I think they were supposed to open it sometime in April and kind of had a little bit of a delay, but it's open now. We went there last night. It was really great.
Like there's a brewery across from your house?
Yes, it's
Do your in-laws have extra rooms? Because I'm ready to come up and visit.
Yeah, come on. And they're building another one.
To visit, but that's
yes. Yeah, we're turning this, we're flipping this vacation house, and it's going to be all spiffed up. Hopefully we'll be an Airbnb one day.
With a brewery across from it, I think you guys that's like the best plan ever.
Yeah. Yeah, we're excited.
So anyway, we should get to our guests for today. We've got a couple of great guests, and we're going to start with Gina Cho. Come on, Gina.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you? Hi, Nikki. Hi, Rob.
Hi. So where are you?
I am in Fair Oaks, which is just right outside of Sacramento, California.
So you've got the nicest weather of all of us.
Yeah, it's starting to cool down. We had a really, really hot summer, and then especially with all the smoke and the fires, it's been pretty rough going. But I'm happy to have the cooler weather and looking forward to the fall and the winter.
Has the smoke cleared out yet, or is it?
It has, yeah. It's really like you don't appreciate how amazing it is to breathe fresh air until you're sort of in the midst of smoke. It was like every day we were just living in the middle of an Instagram filter. Like everything had this like orangey hue. So it made a lot, we took really great pictures, but not something we want to live with every day.
I saw lots of pictures from my friends that are out that direction. So anyway, I'm gonna head out of here and let you guys talk.
All right.
Adios, Rob. We'll see you soon.
Bye, Rob.
All right. Well, thanks, Gina, for joining us today. So I attended your session that you did on the main stage earlier today, and I know I saw a lot of comments in the chat about how when your audio feed went a little wonky, it was like we had all achieved nirvana together. Guided meditation, which was amazing. So thank you so much for that. I don't think that we can all get enough of that. Yeah. And it was really interesting kind of, what you said at the beginning. It really kind of like hit home for me that you are at home with a 17-month-old toddler. I have a 15-month-old toddler.
Aww.
I was just really like, trying to be mindful and be present, but also taking a lot of notes of, things that I could do at home to be more mindful and more present. So I feel like your session really hit home for me.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's, I'm really trying to savor it as well, because I think as much as there's that feeling of like, I want to be back on the road and I want to kind of go back to way things were, like your kid will only be 15 months once and mine will only be 17 months old. So really kind of savoring all of those little moments. And, they're at like such a great age where they're learning so much and like every day they develop a new skill. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt very lucky. So I also have an older boy who's about to be 4. And for my youngest, I got to be home when she took her first steps.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the nanny who got to see it, or my husband or my mother who watches them sometimes. It was me. So I was really, happy to be there and kind of be there for her. So that was really, really special. But, you know, I think meditation for all of us is so important now, and having that meditation practice. And something else you said really hit home for me is that it's not perfection, it's a practice. So can you tell us a little bit more about your meditation practice and how maybe there are some other tips that we could implement for our own meditation practices?
Yeah. So before I had Simone, I used to go on like long weekend meditation retreats, and I was very fortunate to be able to do like a month long. And you know, as you know, when you have a kid, like everything just gets flipped upside down. So now I do actually 10 minutes a day. I actually on Mondays through Thursdays, I do a live Zoom session. So I actually have lawyers from around the country that join me for these live sessions, which is really great. So that's sort of what my practice looks like, and it's not perfect by any means. Sometimes I am literally doing the meditation as I'm holding Simone. She's strapped to me and the baby Bjorn, and you know, it's just like you just show up for whatever is happening that moment. I think sometimes there's this expectation, like I can't meditate until I have quiet, that no one else is around. Right? We have all of these sort of like set of expectations or conditions in which we think we can only meditate. But really, you know, I've meditated on trains, buses, right, planes. And so I think it's really about making the commitment and then showing up for the practice, like regardless of whatever's happening around you.
Yeah. And it's just so interesting that you said like where you meditate. So for me, I don't know, I'm sure there are others like me out there. I'm just a very sleep driven individual. I love my naps. I love to get my 8 hours of sleep, which is not typical during an LMA annual conference, but you know, these are different times. So for me, I always like to wait until I'm in bed so that I can kind of drift off to sleep. But I'm interested to kind of try, you know, not putting myself in a different position so that I can, you know, have a different feel and a different outcome, because I always get so relaxed. I'm like ready to just drift off to dreamland. So I'm going to try that. That's going to be my challenge.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with sort of drifting off to sleep after meditation, but I think, you know, it's I don't know. I feel like you don't want to make like a habit of it. So my recommendation would be to do 2 minutes in the morning, like as soon as you wake up. So my general rule is that I meditate before I drink my cup of coffee, and I love to drink coffee in the morning. It's like my reason for getting up in the morning. So just sort of having like a rule in place that says, you know, no coffee, like no meditation, no coffee, is pretty motivational. And I think, you know, 2 minutes a day is really what I suggest to everyone. Like, you know, for the overachievers out there, you can do 6 minutes, because of course that's sort of how so many lawyers keep track of their time. But 2 minutes a day, there's a researcher, Sean Ecker, and he has found that even 2 minutes a day over 21 days is enough to see a lot of the benefits of meditation. And really, that's really the key, right? Doing the practice for some sustained period of time. So not just doing it for a day or two, but doing it for, you know, 20, 30 days.
That's a good challenge for all of us, especially now as, you know, people are baking bread and starting gardens. You know, maybe it's something different, a meditation challenge that we can do during our homebound quarantine. But you know, another question I had for you is specifically, you know, for legal marketers, what would be you know, a tip that you have for us that can help us be more mindful as we work with attorneys?
Yeah, I think, you know, I mentioned this in my session, but bring in a little bit of compassion and kindness, because I think lawyers can sometimes have like this caricature, like they're almost playing like an iteration of themselves that's sort of, it's almost like fictional. And I think that can really, when you're compassionate, when you're kind towards another person, it really helps to disarm them. And you know, I certainly found this like working with difficult attorneys. I used to do litigation practice, and if I can just sort of be like overly kind to them, not like in a fake way, but like in a genuine way, I find that that's really sort of disarming. And especially now, you know, like everyone's so stressed out, and just even like starting the conversation by asking like in a genuine, authentic way, like, how are you? And kind of connecting with them on that human level, because I mean, it's all about building relationships.
What would you suggest, some of us who are working from home, I won't name names, we can get distracted during the day. And what's a good tip to kind of bring yourself back to the task at hand and not get so distracted with, another message is coming in, my laundry, the dryer has beeped, my kid is sitting here. What's something to help us kind of refocus?
Yeah, I mean, I love that question because, we're all being pulled in 10 different directions. I think just on a practical level, like disabling as many of the alerts as you can. Like I really went through my phone and like disabled all the notifications except for like phone calls from my mom and, text messages. So kind of doing what you can to physically limit distractions, but more importantly, noticing when you become distracted, right? So maybe you're drafting an email and at some point there's an awareness and you go, oh, I'm supposed to be writing this email, but my mind is like planning lunch or like whatever it may be. So noticing when you've become distracted and then gently refocusing your attention. And sometimes it can be helpful to just check in and notice like, why am I so distracted? Because a lot of times I can really get pulled into work or some sort of a project and it may have been 6 hours and like I have not taken a bio break, I have not had a sip of water, and I think, well, no wonder I'm distracted, right? Because your mind has become fatigued, and that might be a nice time to sort of get up and get some water and maybe go for a little walk and to refresh yourself.
That's such a good suggestion. I think I feel when I'm home now working that I just have to use that time for work. And when I do get distracted, I kind of beat myself up about it. And that's really the case. Is I'm just fatigued. I just need a legitimate break that I'm not thinking about, my kids or the dog or what to plan for dinner. Just, take a few minutes for myself and just kind of refresh. So I really, really like that suggestion. I'm going to put that into practice for sure.
Yeah. And another thing that you can do is, sometimes it's helpful to have like a physical cue that you can use. So the one that I'll often do is just feel my feet on the ground and take a deep breath. And, even just a very simple practice like that can be really helpful for redirecting your attention back to the task at hand.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Great suggestion. All right. So we'll do one more question. So how many other virtual conferences have you been presenting at this year? And how do you think the LMA conference kind of compares to that experience?
Yeah, I really like the platform. I think all the other virtual conferences I've been to have used Zoom. And when I logged on, it was like a very different experience than sort of like going from one Zoom session to another. I like the breakout sessions. I like the networking rooms. And, I feel like you guys really know how to have fun. Like I've been to the LMA conferences in person. Yeah, so it's always, and then the topics I think are just more interesting, right? It's not like, I don't know, learning about like some very technical tax law, like no offense to any tax lawyers out there. But, I think the topics are really interesting and I really like this focus on wellness and well-being this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the conference committee and John and Kristen and everyone involved have done such a great job of pivoting and really bringing topical, sessions and tracks to our conference this year. I mean, I know a lot of it was, because we had to pivot and now we're on this virtual platform that we were able to really do that. But everything is so timely this year and just on topic that I feel like there's just so much for everyone to take in this year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be back in person soon. I'm sad not to be in Denver. It's one of my favorite cities.
I know. Next year, everyone. That's even just like one of my favorite parts about the conference is I know we can't be together and I know we can't physically share space, but even just seeing each other's faces, hearing each other's voices, being able to go into one of the sponsors' exhibit booths and still have that conversation with someone like you would at the conference, just kind of gives me energy to get through the rest of this year. And so, yeah, this has been such a great experience so far, I think.
Yeah. And also in some ways, I feel like I'm getting to connect with more people than because if I had gone to the conference in person, I have a 17-month-old toddler, so I probably would have flown in and flown out. Whereas now I feel like I can sort of, have my daughter playing with Lego blocks and I can sort of, hop in and hop out in my pajamas. So it's pretty great.
Yeah, exactly. I know it was so funny while you were right when you had started your session and when you were going into the guided meditation, all of a sudden my son was like, "Oh, mommy, can I see your friends? I want to sit in your."
Yeah.
Okay, bud, let's do meditation together. And he actually there and listened, surprisingly. So now maybe we're gonna start doing it with the kids. Who knows? He might be interested.
Yeah, and there's lots of really great apps out there for meditation for kids, and I think that's such an incredible tool for kids to learn to self-regulate and increase self-knowledge and build discipline and patience. So yeah, I think those are really. I mean, I meditate with my daughter all the time, and she's little, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we're gonna start now young with the little one, and really hope that the almost 4-year-old can take some of this to heart, because he is a very typical high energy. So
yeah,
it would be really nice if we could have another tool to just allow him to calm down every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure. And so many schools are now teaching it to kids. So I think it's such a wonderful practice to learn. I can't imagine how different my life would be had I learned these tools when I was 4,
Right, exactly. Well, okay, so I know I said last question, but now here's the real last question before Rob comes back in. But what are your favorite apps or tools that you use? I have the Peloton app now, so that's mostly where I get my meditation from. What's some other tips or tools that you like to use and recommend to others?
Yeah, the one that I personally use is called Insight Timer. I have some of my guided meditations on there. I like Insight Timer because it's minimal in a sense that you can just use it to keep track of your time, and that's exactly how I use it. I like having all the data about how many minutes did I meditate in 2020. But there's also tons of guided meditations on there. So that's the one that I personally use. I also like Headspace, and Headspace is a little bit more structured. It's also one that you have to pay for. There's a paid option for Insight Timer as well. So those are two that I'm familiar with, but there's Calm and there's Peloton and there's tons of different apps. My recommendation would be to just choose one and stick with it. I find that because there's so many options out there, I think you can sort of get that overwhelm where you download 10 and instead of just doing the practice, you can be like, let me try to find the perfect meditation today. And then, 30 minutes has gone by.
I feel you. I was kind of that way when I first started. I was like, well, there's so many to choose from. Do I want sleep? Do I want calm? Do I want, what do I want right now? Gratitude, all those sorts of things. So I just kind of started saying, okay, I'm just going to pick, from the 3 that were aired today.
Yeah.
Not try and go back and find one that I wanted. And they're also fabulous. So it's
yeah.
Nice
Headspace has the first 10 days that you can download for free. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, just download Headspace and do their daily meditation. I think it's 10 minutes.
That's great. Well, thanks for all the tips, Gina. And thank you so much for your session today. It was so fantastic, especially to start day 2 of the conference. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nikki.
Okay, well, let's see. Is Rob gonna maybe pop back in?
I'm back.
Yay!
So, Nikki, before I bring my next guest on, it occurred to me, I know who you are, but I don't know if our audience does. So do you want to introduce yourself to everybody and tell us where you are and where you work and all that stuff?
Sure. Well, everyone can probably see on the bottom of the screen, I'm Nikki Sherrill, but I am one of the client development managers at Jones Day. I've been there for about 7 years now. And I sit in the Atlanta office, but I support our key account management program. So I work with lawyers and clients all over our global footprint.
Wow.
Also on the LMA International Board of Directors. This year, I was the Regional Leadership Committee liaison to the board, and I will be serving as a member at large for the next 2 years. So I'm very excited to continue my LMA service on the board. And I think that it speaks a lot to how much fun and how much you can get out of, LMA leadership and LMA service. That my first year on the board was in, the middle of a pandemic, and I still wanted to do it again.
That says a lot, or you're crazy. I know how hard you board members work, and then this year, just so much more that everybody got than they'd kind of signed up for. So
yes, and
thank you for all your service and your commitment to LMA.
And I'll say quick plug too for all of our regional leaders and our LSC leaders. Y'all are the real MVPs, because the programming pivot that you had to do this year. I know I work so closely with all of you, but I don't think everyone else, all of our LMA members, get to see how hard you worked and how tirelessly you worked to deliver member value throughout this year, and creating new programming for members in transition, and just doing everything on the fly. Thank you. Cannot be said enough.
I second that. So I work pretty closely with the Northeast region and have helped out getting a lot of our programming virtual. And I see how hard our committee works to find things that are going to be interesting and a little different, and so on. So I second what you had to say. So let's bring our next guest on.
All right.
Our next guest is Tracy Stewart from Blatel Communications, and she was having a little bit of an issue with her webcam, so we might have a little bit of a psychedelic thing going on, but she's in the Bay Area, so you kind of expect that.
Exactly.
Hi, Tracy.
Hello there. How are you both today? I guess I'm going to occasionally blip a little bit. I do not know what happened, but it took, having an international conference that's all online, and then the cat coming in and sitting on some wires that has made me a technician all morning, and we're still good.
Well, keeps things interesting anyway.
We're getting really good at the pivot here.
Welcome to 2020.
And believe me, when the screen's going a little crazy, I'm not quite as worried about the shine on my face or whether I've got on the right makeup today. So,
I love it. But what's so funny is I can hear you perfectly.
Literally, it's something going on with the cam and the wiring, I think. But I'm going to have to dig into it, and it's going to involve taking things apart.
Uh-oh. That's not good. I hope you don't need a new webcam, because they're virtually impossible to buy.
Well, we're going to have to just pivot to another device is what things are going to come down to, I think, for me here.
All right, well, we want to hear about your session and a bunch of other stuff, so I'm going to get out of here and let you guys talk.
Awesome.
Bye.
Awesome. All right, Tracy, we're so excited to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you too, Nikki. And I share your congratulations and your gratitude to the LMA board, the regional boards, all the local boards. Planning this thing more than once has to have been a heavy lift. And to do it well, that much heavier.
I know, right? I know. And so, Tracy, you just came off a 2-year stint, right, on the LMA International Board. So we kind of crossed paths very, at the last couple months. And I wish it could have been longer. But, are you kind of like thanking your lucky stars a little bit that last year was your last year?
Yeah, I can't say that I was relishing the thought that I would be stuck in the boardroom and planning that big old pivot. Yeah. I feel for y'all.
Oh, it's been rough. It's been rough, but we're getting through it. And Jill Hughes has done just a fantastic job of leading us through this. That I just hats off to her and my team. But Tracy, do you want to just kind of? I know Rob reminded me we didn't do introductions. Do you want to introduce yourself or say anything else to give our audience a better flavor for who you are?
No, I think Rob covered it. I'm Tracy Stewart. I'm the president of Blatel Communications. We're a 30-year-old public relations agency and have focused on the legal market for all of those 30 years. And we also do some work in AEC and real estate and financial services. So a lot of the lawyers' clients. So bring sort of that perspective to the table. And I'm so excited to be able to, what was a TED Talk has been pivoted to a little longer presentation, but it's about leveraging pop culture news to fuel your PR and content strategy. And as somebody who usually gets the tough nuts from the law firm, the lawyer who has I got to be in the Wall Street Journal, or the bookish type who has a really great idea but doesn't know how to bring it to the fore, I'm going to share some tips and tricks about really tying what our folks do to news cycles and making it timely and topical.
I'm so excited for your session. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Thursday at 1:45 p.m. Eastern. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So tell us a little bit more about what else to expect. I'm really excited about this session. I'm super into pop culture. That's like what I'm like always, if I'm going to be on my phone when I should be watching my kids, that's what I'm doing. So I'm excited about this.
Gotcha. We're going to talk a little bit about how to sort of predict breaking news and news cycles and how to get on top of them. We're also going to talk about how to avoid making it icky, clickbait, and having it be a little too poppy for the lawyers. And we're also going to go through some examples and just talk a little bit about how important the voice is when we're playing in sort of a more pop culture, kind of the news media realm. It's really a little different than the courtroom or than writing for a Law 360 or a law.com. We're going to talk a little bit about the change in voice that needs to happen to make this work. It's going to be a pretty fast-moving session. There's a lot of quick information and topical information, but also a lot of good examples, so that I hope you're all able to get the idea here and be able to go back and really implement, because that's where it comes down. Is when the rubber meets the road is when when we're making sure that the lawyers are out there and are getting the recognition they deserve for the practice, and it's amounting to business development, not just recognition.
Yes. And that's such an important tie-in. Myself, I have a PR background. That's what my degree is in, but that's not ever what I did in my legal marketing career. I went just straight into business development and kind of like skipped that role just by like a sheer twist of fate. But, for someone like me, who, PR is really on kind of like the periphery of, how I'm helping my firm and helping my lawyers, will you kind of be touching on some things that a not traditional PR professional can really like pull in when they're dealing every day with lawyers?
Absolutely. I mean, the bottom line is the PR is not good if it doesn't help the business development strategy overall. So our goal is to really talk about how to leverage pop culture, but also tie it all back to your BD strategy, because because you're being opportunistic, because you're leveraging the news, shouldn't actually, take you to the left of your strategy. It should be complementary to your strategy. And that's going to be a big theme, is really how to make sure those two match up. It's a big theme in all that we do. Yeah,
I'm sure. Okay. So I know this is not your first LMA conference, right?
It's my first virtual conference.
Okay, so
first timer.
I know, right? So I did the first timer session yesterday too, because I was like, well, this is not my first annual conference, but it is my first virtual conference really ever. This year I've not had a cool conference experience like this, so I'm excited about it. So one of my questions to you is, how has this year kind of compared to your experiences in the past? And, what are some of the benefits that you see to kind of how we're all being able to gather here today and this week?
Amazing content. And the focus is so much on the content and enjoying the people. I think the one-on-one speed networking has gotten some really great reviews. And I've heard several folks say they actually got more interpersonal time that was meaty and meaningful during some of the events here and the virtual conference, and they would have, rushing between opportunities to see and be seen and get the content that you're there to get in real life, in part because, we're all kind of able to slow down and take take it a little bit more in a planned and hopefully focused way, particularly since it's only a few feet from our faces.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. So I was in the exhibit hall earlier today, and it was nice because it was almost like there weren't really that many distractions, right? When you're normally kind of like standing at the booth and you're talking to someone, you're still out of the corner of your eye, someone's walking by you or they tap you on the shoulder, hi, and then all of a sudden you're off on a different conversation. So it was really nice to kind of be able to get some of that like one-on-one time without a distraction with our sponsors today. So that's kind of a really unexpected benefit, I think, that I found.
Definitely a lot of focus. And frankly, I've been taking in a couple of sessions at a time. If there's competing, it's easy enough to move back and forth between the two, and then knowing the recordings are coming out, fill in the gaps that I missed later. But it's been an opportunity to take in quite a lot of great programming too.
Yeah. And I feel like, we don't have to like rush into the conference room so that you like that one session that you're like, oh, I know this is going to be really popular. And if I don't get there, I'm going to have to stand in the back. So that actually happened to me last year at LMA 2019 in Atlanta. And I was like super pregnant. And I was like, okay, I got to get to every session early, because if I don't get a seat, I'm not standing in heels in the back of this room. And God bless, I think it was Ryan King let me have his seat in one of the sessions because I didn't get there on time.
I'm gonna say the LMA crowd has got to be better with pregnant women than the typical public transit riders. Come on, we've got to give up the seat for the ladies with child.
Yes, exactly. And everyone, was so nice and just like getting me a chair wherever I was. I was like, this is great. But I didn't, the thing I didn't want to do was make anyone, force anyone to give up their seat if they were smart and got there on time. And I was, busy in the exhibit hall talking to people and talking to my friends.
Hey, come on. It's been a few years, but I remember I even walked slower at very pregnant. So.
Yes. Right. It just takes you longer to get someplace, I totally get it. So what are some other sessions that you are excited about seeing for the rest of the week?
Well, Baratunde was phenomenal. I mean, just what an incredible conversation to be a part of. I think it set the tone for the entire program. And again, just as a kickoff, was just an amazing piece to take in, and so many fabulous conversations that sort of spun out of that dialogue that that was a great way to kick it off.
Yeah, it was. And so I will admit tonight I am very, very, very excited for the LMA Hall of Fame reception and induction, and then LMA's Got Skills. We're on vacation this week. My family, we're all on vacation in North Carolina this week. And I told my husband, I was like, look, I have to be here tonight because I have to see this. So we're I'm picking and choosing what sessions I might be able to check out later in the recording. So I'm very excited about that. But I'm so excited for this group of new Hall of Famers tonight and the LMA's Got Skills. I think our Hall of Famers are so important to our association that they should just be celebrated every day.
Agreed. It should be a great program. And by the way, Roy Sexton got talent. So I look forward to seeing how things compare, because that man has been everywhere performing everything. So I look forward to seeing his competition.
I know. And I'm like, how is your repertoire that large? Because it's like he can sing anything. It's like he has this like musical library up here. And that might be a good challenge for Roy. If we could all just like, okay, Roy, I'm gonna name a song and let's see if you can sing it. And I bet he could.
We'll call it Roy Ryoki. We'll have him do his thing.
Yes. Okay. So LMA goals for the next time that we can all be together is Roy Ryoki.
Perfect. Let's do it.
I think that's so great. So great. Well, is there, anything else that you want to kind of tell everybody about for your session or, to be on the lookout for as we kind of wrap it up?
No, I'm excited because usually that Thursday session everybody's hungover for, but unless we're all doing some crazy drinking Wednesday night, Thursday should be good. So don't miss out. 1:45 in the afternoon, we'll be talking about leveraging pop culture for your news and content strategy.
Awesome. Well, I'll be front row, and good point on the not being hungover. Definitely also a slight benefit.
Well, I'm not discouraging the drinking on Thursday. It is an LMA conference after all.
And nobody has to drive anywhere. So why not? What better reason?
Yeah, guys, I'm going to walk across the street to that brewery, bring myself home a beer, and enjoy it for LMA's Got Skills.
There we go.
Perfect.
I only wish I could share one with you.
I know. I'll send you one, Tracy.
Well,
Next
guys,
year, there will be much beer.
Yes, ma'am. True.
double. We've got to make up for it. So
Great.
great.
I think we will.
Great seeing both of you. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing about the conference. Tracy, look forward to your session. And Nikki, thank you.
Of course.
Good to see both of you. We are back bunch of times over the next couple of days. So look for us tomorrow at 11, 1:15, and 2:30 with new hosts and new guests and all kinds of fun stuff. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Nikki.
Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Rob.
Bye.
Bye.